and welcome to Mint. I am Nasrin Sultana. Indian markets are in a wait and watch mode as investors are waiting at the key announcements made in the budget on 5th of July by the new finance minister. Today I am joined by Mr. Rusmik Oza, who is the head of fundamental research at Kotak Securities. We are going to discuss what's the market expecting from the budget and the fundamental concerns about the earnings. So Mr. Rusmik, what's the outlook on the markets right now?
Markets have been staying very steady of late. Maybe post the new government formation, everyone has been looking forward for a couple of developments, announcements from the government, and I think everyone is keeping their eyes on the budget, expecting some bold moves, announcements to be coming in the budget. So hopefully everyone's looking for it as a big event. Let's wait and watch how it pans out on 5th of July.
Right.
But yeah, expectations are high. But at the same time, we have certain evidence from the interim budget to what to look for. It's only beyond that if something new and some new initiatives, some new announcements come from the government, that will be something a surprise for the market. Otherwise, most of it is known to the market because the interim budget was quite exhaustive and the government projected the budget as a normal budget. So I think most of it is known to the market. We'll just watch out for a little bit unknowns or some bold measures that could come into the budget. That's something to be just keenly wait and watch.
Right. But as we speak, I feel that there is a lack of excitement in the markets as far as the budget goes, because generally historically whenever there is a budget, and budget is a big event for markets, there is always a rally, and this is almost it's a very tepid session. Why do you think there is a lack of excitement?
Nasrin, there are two things. One is global headwinds are there as of now. We have before the budget, we've got this G20 meeting. There is a risk of geopolitical tensions going on in the Middle East. So that could escalate and could lead to a little bit of turbulence in global markets. At the same time, I think so. People are just fearful if there are more import duties on Chinese goods coming from the US. But I think 80 to 90% of what is likely to come in, you already know through the interim budget. So people actually, you know what the divestment target is, you know what measures they are taking, you know what the expenditure pattern is likely to be. The only thing just to note is in the last 3-4 months between what we saw in the interim budget and what we are seeing now, there has been a serious slowdown in many of the sectors. So the underlying growth assumptions need to be monitored again. So people are actually having very tepid response in terms of overall environment, which is little less conducive for business as of now. So these are some of the hindrances and setbacks which are not giving you that excitement which you normally see pre-budget.
Right. Like you said, factors which would be in the budget and things to look forward is almost known because of the interim budget that we had, and it's a continuation of the same government. Do you think the budget would be a non-event for markets then?
Gut feel is that it could be a non-event unless see, the good part about this government is they come out with a lot of surprises at the last moment. We've seen the rumors that were going on for the finance minister, and then so our take is that this government actually could surprise also on the positive. But as of now, I think so maybe whatever we have been reading and whatever we have seen in the interim budget looks like it could be a non-event as of now. But still, we cannot, disregard that there could be certain major announcements coming in. But at the same time, just one thing to note is that, already most of the revenue side, is determined by the GST Council.
Right.
The government has very less room to, maneuver with numbers on an overall basis. So that's one thing to, just keep a note on. At the same time, they've increased the target of the PM Kisan scheme from 80,000 to 70,000 to almost 87,000 crore. So that the fiscal deficit, if they don't tinker with that number, then most of it I think so is known to the market. So that could be it could turn out to be non-event if they don't announce anything beyond what they've spoken in the interim budget. or if they don't talk about any major bold measures likely to be taken by the government, these are two things just could be the surprise element. Otherwise, I think more or less it's known to the market.
So if I have to ask you three key things that the market is going to kind of watch out in the budget speech.
Uh, the key thing is fiscal deficit, whether they stick with that sub 3.5% target, or whether they're keen to actually break that and like to provide a fiscal stimulus. So people like to see what is the fiscal stimulus the government is trying to give by way of budget, because RBI is doing its part on the monetary side. So the fiscal deficit, the GST collection targets, is it reasonable, realistic? That's what we would know. And at the same time, I think what individuals get more in terms of incentives or tax breaks, or so those are some of the measures people would look at.
Right.
Corporates, anyways, I think so we've not heard anything in the budget, so we're not expecting any changes in tax rates for corporates. But yeah, I think so. What is in store for the individuals, as better as in terms of tax rebates and benefits, fiscal deficit, and the assumptions of revenue, that is mainly GST and the nominal GDP growth rate taken.
Right, right. So I'm very tempted to ask, do you think there could be an increase in the LTCG? There's a lot of buzz around that there could be a tinkering in with the LTCG or the long-term capital gains tax.
As of now, whatever we have been reading and interacting, I don't think so there will be any major change in long-term capital gains tax as such, because anyways in the interim budget they announced with the introduction of around 10%.
Right.
So there can't be a situation, because already short-term capital gains is taxed at 15%. So you can't have both short-term capital and long-term capital gains at the same rate. So there has to be some difference. So I think so as of now, maybe the rates what they propose looks quite appropriate. You have already a short-term capital gains of 15%, and maybe if they do introduce long-term capital gains as was promised in the budget, then maybe yes, I think so you can look for around 10% capital gains tax. That is known to the market. I think that should not surprise anyone.
It's already factored in?
It's already factored in, yes.
Okay. Thanks, Rusmik. That was interesting. So, as Rusmik tells me, budget could be a non-event for the markets, as the big announcements were already made in the interim budget. We'll have to wait and watch for those announcements made by the FM on 5th of July. So, till then, stay tuned.